That was the weirdest promotional experience ever. They're like, hey, go out there and don't tell them anything.
Nothing, not a word.
Okay.
You know, unusual for you to have kind of a darker turn for a character. What were the conversations with Travis about? How much you wanted to play?
It was, so they were in the middle of casting for all this, like in the middle of pre-production. And I got to read the script and just like, hey, is this something that interests you? Yes. I didn't know what I was gonna be doing. And then in talking with Travis, he's got to fill all these roles. Right. So he was like, I think maybe Burns is the way to go. And then we began to talk about what Burns was and how I could, use my skills to help bring his vision to life. We agreed, I got the part, and away we go. But I was very much moved by this story. Yeah. And I think that's why at Comic-Con that people didn't want to dive too far into what I was doing. Right. Because we had our work cut out for us, trying to let everyone from the franchise who's watched the franchise know, like, hey, this is what you love about it, but it's also a really different take. Right. So I think that was the most important message to send.
This is such a great female role. It's just a great role in general. But when you were coming into the project, Christina had written the script, you were working with Travis. Was there anything that you also wanted to see from Charlie as you were playing her? Anything that, adjusted, or did she feel really strong to you on the page?
Both, really. Where it was when I received it was in a great place. And it really could have only gone up from where it was. And I had many conversations with Travis and Kelly Freeman Craig, who I worked with on Edge of 17, who wrote and directed that, came in and did a rewrite on the script as well. And it was wonderful to have not only Christina's script that she had written, but Kelly's touch as well, to really sort of drive home that honest portrayal of being a misunderstood teenage girl. Yeah. So that was really awesome to have.
There really haven't been many females, just a few, especially in the cartoon days, but you get to play a super duper forceful role in this.
Very forceful,
Tell me about,
strong.
Yeah, what did you talk to Travis about how you wanted to portray her? Because she is very smart.
Actually, we just, she was on the page. Yeah. She's on the page, and then we just get into the booth. Well, I got into the booth. He was actually on the other side of the country, and he's on like a little television screen. I see him in black and white, and was like, what? So he was just very, very helpful, just in terms of, let's try it this way. Yeah. Or, so I throw something out there, and then he would just play with it, and he would just lead me, knowing because they had shot the majority of it or all of it at that point, and just doing the.
Did you work with Justin at all?
No,
so
no,
it's completely independent.
Haven't met him yet.
Haven't met him yet, but so you guys are playing on
the
screen.
Challenge
So
of these kind of
that's
movies.
animation, kind of.
That's
the
the
world
way
of
these
it.
things go.
Well, how much?
You form this bond, this partnership, and you believe it, and you
never met each other.
It can happen,
well,
and still there's magic.
There is magic.
Because he has to listen to me.
And
as long as he does that, there'll be magic.
That's great.
Who are you?
You got to play in the Transformers toolbox, the playground. So tell me, obviously the script had been done first by Christina. What were your ideas, as a fan, that you wanted to bring back to the franchise, and especially with your own story with it?
I grew up in the 80s. I was a child of the 80s, and so I was part of that initial wave of fans when the Transformers were born. And I remember the impact that it had on me. I'd never seen anything like that before. I just loved the cartoon. I bought the toys, I played with the toys, I read the comic books. It was just, they were just really cool. I'd never seen anything like that before. And so these are characters and stories that I've known and loved for virtually my whole life. So the opportunity to tell a story about one of them, not only that, but an origin story about one of the most beloved Transformers there is, Bumblebee, it was extraordinary. I want to pay tribute to those great aspects of the Transformers, while at the same time telling a really rich emotional story that we really get to know this character in a meaningful way.
Well, what was it like working with Hailee and with Travis to kind of, bring this to life? Because it is such a grounded, really realistic story in terms of all the craziness that's going on, but they're real people, and you really fall in love with them.
Yeah, I feel like Travis does a great job at keeping the story grounded. His background in stop motion animation, I feel like really helped just bring heart and character to Bumblebee. And working with Hailee, it was wonderful. At her age, I feel like she's already a veteran, and And I learned really just so much from watching her, you know, because I feel like I'm still getting my feet wet in this thing, and just seeing someone who had so much control of the camera and the professionalism that she brought was awesome.
And your character has a really interesting arc in that we get perspective on his motivations and why he does what he does, which is really great, so that you get a depth. And you also get to play comedic, you know, sides to him too.
Those are a happy mistake. So
Really?
when we initially talked about Burns, Travis, and I agreed with Travis that you need a good antagonist to want to root for the hero.
Right.
And I didn't know, I don't know, we filmed it right down the barrel. And in being diligent and prepared, we would get our stuff early, and then Travis would come out and be like, hey man, just take a take for yourself.
Nice.
I became selfish in those takes and just wanted to crack up the crews, so we just kind of lost all control. But Travis, always learning from everything and very astute and intelligent, was like, okay, we can't use any of that, but I can take this sentiment and make it into something.
Yeah.
So they began to mold the kind of comedy that you see, which is great because you do have your hero in Bumblebee and Charlie, and you do have your true evil in the Decepticons.
Right.
And then you have this bad guy that is a bad guy, but a bad guy you want to root for. Like the whole movie you're going, come on, man, just play for the right team. Exactly. So it's a really cool small payoff, and then you get the big payoff at the end of the movie. Yeah, it's good. It's good.
The rapport that you and B have is amazing, and that's not easy to do when he doesn't basically exist. Right. So Travis's job is to help facilitate that you can have a real performance that comes across so beautifully. What did you guys do so that you could feel like you were really connecting and could make a character rapport between something that is CGI?
I think out of the endless conversations that we had, we created a backstory that felt real enough and personal enough to me that I then didn't necessarily have to have something in front of me to emote. Yeah. And I think that, and the fact that he created a space for me to feel comfortable in and at home in, and obviously it's an era I wasn't alive in, so there was that element of sort of it feeling a bit foreign, and all of this stuff was going on around me that I wasn't aware of. And his background in animation was, I mean, incredibly helpful, I felt, when it came to articulating what was going on around us, because he was able to see the end result before anyone else. But yeah, he was definitely a key.
So as were you a Transformers fan? Was that your...
I was, but I mean, especially in the realm of sci-fi, like you can go into fandom as far as you want to go.
Right.
I would be completely outgunned with people who flooded the hall in Comic-Con.
Yes.
But what's great about this movie is I think those people are going to be very satisfied, but I also think the average moviegoer is going to be very satisfied.
Absolutely. So if you are an old school Transformers fan, like you are and many others are, there are so many wonderful beats in this movie that really tie to that. From the very beginning of the movie, what were your choices on which characters to be able to fold in? You have a lovely pantheon of different selections, so the choice of being able to whittle that down, what did it come down to?
Come down to which ones I liked.
Yeah. Good, that's right.
No, well, I mean, so the opening of the film is very similar to the opening of the animated series, which is where you see the final moments of the fall of Cybertron, and you see these extraordinary robots who are, have to escape and find a new home, and that was basically the genesis of this movie. So being able to see Cybertron in a way that I've always imagined it on the big screen, and to be able to put these characters that I've loved since I was a kid on the big screen, it was really thrilling, breathing life into those moments. And it was really just came down to, we only had so much time and so much money, so I stuffed it with as many of my favorites as I possibly could. And they're all ones that I loved. There are a handful that I wanted to put in there and I wasn't able to, but I definitely had to make sure that Wheeljack was in there, because he was, along with Bumblebee, he's one of the first robots that we see. And then on the bad guy side, putting Shockwave and Soundwave and Ravage, I mean, I've always wanted to see them in that form on the big screen, and now we finally do.
Yes.